Good people of the internet, welcome back for another one. Today we're going to do another product install and review. This product for the Street Bob here. I've got some passenger foot pegs from a company called KEMIMOTO. If you haven't heard of KEMIMOTO, they have a really big online presence on Amazon as well as their own site. They do everything from cruisers, street bikes, off-road vehicles, boats, camping equipment, a whole ton of stuff. They actually reached out to me and asked me if I'd be interested in reviewing these foot pegs. And I said, sure, why not? Those of you guys who follow the channel know that these reviews are of my own opinion. There is no influence. I am not sponsored or paid for by any way, shape, or form by any of these companies. So with that being said, let's get into the unboxing and I'll show you guys how to put these on. All right, so here we have the box that it comes in. Let's open it up. One of the first things you'll notice, instructions, my favorite thing. You also get a pair of wrenches to install. These are 5/16 and 6mm, if I'm not mistaken. Then comes the footrest itself. It is cut here at an angle. This black material on top is a rubbery, soft, grippy material. So I think that's nice. The overall shape and the way this thing is cut looks pretty slick. So that's nice. You also get two of these. So if you don't have existing passenger foot pegs, this may be a good alternative to go in, as it comes with everything you need. If you do, you're probably going to have to change out these posts anyway, and I'll tell you why in a second here. The first thing you'll notice about their stems here is that it's more of a satin black finish, whereas the Harley OEM has this gloss black paint that you see everywhere on Harley stuff. The second thing you'll notice is the width for which the peg goes in is much more narrow than the width for this one. So that's why I'm saying it's very possible you probably have to swap this out too if you have existing passenger foot pegs. So you do get the two pedals, you get the two posts, tools, instructions. Looks like you got everything you need. This looks like a pretty straightforward job that anybody can do. And hopefully by the end of this video, you guys will feel empowered to do it yourself. So let's move this stuff aside for a second here and talk about the OEM foot pegs, since I already have mine disconnected. These things are pretty straightforward to take out. The first thing you do, there's this little clip right here that you got to pry off with a needle nose plier or a flathead screwdriver. Once you pop this guy off, you can push this pin out. When you push the pin out, you'll be able to peel away the foot peg itself. Now, sometimes it'll all come out in one piece with this metal clip in here. But if it doesn't, just be careful. In these pegs, there is a hole with a spring, and this ball bearing sits on it, and that's what allows it to lock up and down. So when you take it off, don't be surprised if that little ball flies across the room and disappears into the universe. So you got the peg off, you're left with just this attached to the bike. How do you take it off? Well, you got to take this clip out. When you take this clip out, you'll notice it gives you access to a hex bolt right there. Once you unscrew that, that's all there is to it. That's what was in there. That's all there is to it, and now you're ready to put the new one made by KEMIMOTO on the bike. So that's really it. Let's get over to the bike and I'll start walking you guys through the install. All right, so a caveat before we get started. As you can see, I have an aftermarket exhaust, and in installing that, I had to remove the existing passenger pegs, and they were installed right here. Because the aftermarket pipe blocks access to this hole, um, what you'll have to do is install the passenger foot pegs in this hole up here. Now, this hole does have a plastic plug on it from factory, so you are going to have to peel that off with a flathead and some pliers. But once you rip that out, that'll give you access to these threads right here. So, just something to keep in mind if you, in fact, are not running the stock exhaust. Another thing along those same lines is that if you're installing your peg here, there is a notch right here. A little notch right here. And so what you have to do is, I don't know if you can see it, the KEMIMOTO pegs, just like the Harley Davidson stock pegs, have the notch right here as well. So you're going to have to just line that up, and that'll keep it from turning and allow you to tighten it. But make sure that is in that direction. If you look at the pegs from the side, this is rounded up here and kind of squared off down here. So this is the bottom, just so you know. KEMIMOTO also has a hole in that little clip in the middle that gives you access to that bolt. So you don't necessarily have to take it out. I'm taking mine out anyway because I find that when it's time to put the pedal into this groove, I find it easier to put this clip on the pedal first. But before we do that, we have to install the peg itself. So this bolt calls for a 5/16. So on this higher peg hole, there is no notch. So it's not as mission critical. But what that also does is once you go to tighten this thing up, I'll show you guys in a second here. The post itself will continue the turn because there's nothing holding it back. So I suggest once you get this like finger tight, right, move the peg slightly counterclockwise so that when you go to tighten it, the peg itself straightens, the post itself straightens when it's tight enough. You see what I mean? Otherwise, if I keep turning, now my peg is slightly cocked this way, so just to compensate for the fact that it turns. So I'm just going to turn it maybe almost 10 o'clock. And again, make sure you guys use Loctite. I'm all out, so for the sake of this video, we're just going to do this without Loctite. So, but get some blue Loctite. So there you go. All right, so we're ready for the next step. Now, there's two ways you can do it. You can leave this clip in if you want, and then just, you know, work the peg itself in while you're doing it, or you can connect them like this or like this and just try to slide it in. That's what I did before. Just note that this does have an orientation, so the bottom is flat and the top does have that rounded curve. So we'll try it like this. Slide it right in, and then the rest is just lining up the hole. You have this bolt here that goes into this hole. This is a 6mm, and you're just gonna line everything up, and then once this passes through, you tighten it down, and that's pretty much it for this side. And there you have it. So let's take a step back for a second and see how it looks on the bike, and then we'll shoot over to the other side. There you have it. Peg down. Looks good. Peg up. Pretty solid. Solid up position. Solid down position. Works for me. Alright, let's go over to the other side. Alright, so we're back on the other side now, and the same thing goes in reference to that notch. So on this side, if you're using the original passenger peg location, this large nut here with the washer as part of it would prevent that hole from lining up, all right, if there wasn't a notch. So that notch goes right up against that, and that'll line up the hole when you insert this bolt. So just be aware of that. You know, if you're having trouble fitting it, that's why. Again, because the exhaust on the other end, this is too low. If I guess I could put it there, but then I'd have the left foot lower than the right foot for my passenger. So I pulled the plug on this one just like the other side, and then that's where we're going to put this bolt in. There we go. I've got it tight, or finger tight. I've got it rotated counterclockwise slightly to compensate for the turning of the post itself when I go to tighten this. I think I'm just gonna readjust a little here. Again, if you're using the existing hole, you're not gonna have this issue here. That notch is gonna take care of this part for you. All right, so I've got that in there. Now, because the case is in the way here, I'm not going to be able to use my my 6mm that I used on the other side. It's in the way, so you can just use the Allen key that they give you with the kit, or if you have your own, you can use that as well. Here's the little hex wrench that they give you with the kit. Makes it easier to get in there without scratching up your case. All right, got that side on, and that's all there is to it. So again, that's what she looks like when she's up, down, sturdy. I do like the rubber grip. If we compare the stock stem, I guess they're about the same length, right? So as far as how far these pedals stick out, it does appear to be the same, but that's all there is to it. So I think the best thing to do right now is get this thing on the road, see if I can get a passenger on the back of the bike, and I'll give you my last thoughts on it. Also, if you look in the description of this video, KEMIMOTO was nice enough to give me a coupon code to share with you guys if you're interested in purchasing any of their products. So look down in the description for that. I believe the code is We Ride 2 or We Rides 2, whatever they put in there. But check it out, and let's get some road footage.